What was the enemy doing? How were they attacking these villages? Were they killing people?
Yeah, they were killing people. They came with tanks. They also they first did the aerial bombardment. They bombarded the area first. So we had this foxhole. We dug some foxhole and we used to hide there to shield from the bomb debris.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for coming today to listen to this podcast and this episode where I've brought Jacob here. Jacob is all the way from South Sudan and it's your first time in America, is that right?
Yes, it's my first time in America.
Yes, and you have been a DonorSee partner for over a year.
Yeah, since 2016.
Since 2016, okay.
Yes, yeah.
And so we've known each other for a really long time. And I want to get into the work that you're doing in Sudan. But the thing that I really want to know about first is I want to know about you. I want to know about your life. I think that the people who are watching and the people who are listening, they want to know what your upbringing was. So, where were you born?
Yeah, my name is Jacob Aluong. I'm from South Sudan. I was born in 1983, and that was the year I was born. And the same year that war broke out in my country. So I've never had peace in my life since I was 3 months old. So I grew up to the age of 12, and then my area was devastated by war because the war was between the Muslims in the north and the Christian in the south, and I'm from the south where Christians live. So yeah, my area was bombarded by the aircrafts from the Sudan government, and we were displaced. So we had to walk for.
At what age were you displaced?
When I was 12.
When you were 12. So before that happens, what was life like when you were just a little boy?
I was in the cattle camp. I think my parents like cattle keepers, so they keep cattle. So we have villages also, and the cattle camps. So I used to move between the cattle camp and the village. So where we cultivate crops, and then sometime like in dry season we take cattle to where they can get green grass and water. So that's where I grew up.
So your parents were cattle farmers, and how many cattle were they in charge of?
We had like about 120 kettles.
Okay, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. So in 1991, the war really get worse, and all the kettles were raided.
Now, one of the things is did you live in a house? Did you have electricity growing up?
No, we have only these small grass thatch houses. We call them tukuls locally. So it's just made of mud. The wall is made of mud and then grass on it. So so I grew up in that tukul.
Okay,
and then
how big was that?
It takes only like 2 people. So I think it's just like this small room here.
You lived in a house the size of this room?
Yeah, the size of this room.
Okay.
So we squeeze ourselves. Mainly, I didn't have clothes on, no shoes, no nothing. So, but I can remember we used to move naked back then.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, no blanket, no bed. So you just sleep on the
floor.
Yeah, on the floor, and then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, so this was growing up as a boy.
Yeah, as a boy.
And then at 12.
The area was devastated now by the war. The war intensified, and we were all flushed out of our village. So we had to flee. We ran to the bush. We hid there for 3 weeks, and then when we came, our kettles were all taken.
How did you know that people were coming?
I think my father was there, so he kept alerting us that the next village is attacked. So maybe our village will be next. So he kept an eye on that, and then the following day when the enemy was coming, so he told us to leave. So we left. We tried to drive our kettles, but kettles doesn't move fast like people. So my father told us just to let the cattle go and run for our lives. So we ran to the bush. And
what was the enemy doing? How were they attacking these villages? Were they killing people?
Yeah, they were killing people. They came with tanks. They also they first did the aerial bombardment. They bombarded the area first. So we had this foxhole. We dug some foxhole, and we used to hide there to shield from the bomb debris. So now, then they sent the assault troops to the area. So those, by that time now, we were expelled from our village.
Okay.
So we went to the bush for hiding.
Now, when you say you went to the bush, this is like in the forest?
In the forest, just
hiding in there.
Just hiding there. It's like about a mile deep inside the forest.
And there's no houses there or anything? You just
No houses.
Trees in the ground?
Yeah.
And what are you eating during this time?
So just feeding on fruits those days, and then some goats were loose. So our father would go back to the village and find goats that are left behind, especially some of our goats, and would get one goat, and then we feed us for about 2 weeks there before we find our way to the displaced camp. So
people were scared? When this was happening?
People were terrified. People were terrified because we were threatened for months through aerial bombardment. And then when they came now to the village looking for the last man or whatever they were looking for, so we just say that is it, how we're going to leave. And then they took the kettles all. So and our lives used to depend on kettles, milk and some grain. So they burned the houses and the granaries that we had. So they burned everything, and then they took the kettle. So we're left with nothing.
So how many were you in this forest as you're running away?
I think the entire village of say 700 or 300 people were now scattered in the forest. Okay, so we live in villages, like small section of the villages. So the rest of the villages also were displaced. So we joined them in the hiding. We thought we were going to hide there by ourselves, but we found so many people there, including some of our relatives. Yeah. And some people we did not know. So hundreds of people.
Now,
I would say.
What were you? I've never been in this situation before, obviously. So I'm very curious. There were 700 of you or more. What were you guys talking about with each other? Like, were you mad? Were you just like trying to comfort each other? What's the conversation like?
We were wondering why someone would attack us, why someone want to kill us. And I was still a child, so I could not even understand why someone would just come and burn the entire village down and kill us. So our number one fear was they may kill all of us. So, we used to talk to the nursing mothers, like to keep their children quiet. Children did not know what was happening. So we keep telling them, hey, please just hold their mouth so that they don't cry. Yeah. If they cry loud, I think the enemy would even track us down. So we're just afraid for our lives when we're in the forest.
Did most people that ran away with you, did most of them survive?
Yeah, most of them survived. And I remember my 2 uncles were okay. Like when we were in the bush, I think over something they came. They came after another week. They tracked us down, and I lost my 2 uncles there. And my niece was also abducted and was freed again after 27 years.
She was in captivity.
Yeah, she was for 27 years. So she later get married to someone we did not know. So she returned in.
What was it like? What was the captivity like?
So when we were in the forest, we were just seated like in group with my mom, my aunt, and the rest of the relatives and some other people. So those enemies, I think, came, and then they just opened fire on us. So we ran to a different direction. I just ran on my own, and we did not know who was missing until a day later. So when we went to another small trading center, so we went there, and then we tried to assemble, but many of us were missing. So my dad had to come back after like 4 hours to check who is left behind, who is killed, and who is missing. So he came and he found my 2 uncles were shot dead.
So he had to come and tell you.
He had to come back, and
say the uncles.
Yeah, the uncles are dead, but have not. Then he said have not confirmed your cousins where they are, because we were age mates. Yeah. So age of 12.
So do you remember when your father said that to you? When your father told you about your uncles?
So he returned in the afternoon, like around this time. He left in the morning to go and check.
Yeah.
at the scene, and he found my two uncles were killed. So he returned in the evening at this time, and he informed us about that bad news.
Yeah.
Said your uncles are dead, but your other cousins are missing. So we cannot declare them dead now until we find out. So 2 weeks later, we reunited with my other two cousins, but one was missing. Now a young girl, she was also 12, and yes, she was taken by the enemy. And yeah, we were later reunited. That was 1990, and we met in 2010 after she returned with 3 children.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she was a prisoner.
Yeah.
For 20.
Yeah.
7 years or 20 years.
Yeah.
Do you know how she was treated?
Yeah, she narrated all these horrible stories, tried to adapt to the new people that took her. So we, she used to cry when she returned. She narrated all these stories. There was not enough food for her. She was later married by someone from the person who took her, who kidnapped her. So the person who took her away from us became her new father. So someone came to marry her through that person, and then she returned in 2010, and she's now in Australia. She was relocated to Australia by the Australian government. Yeah. With her 2 children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really. I mean, that's just like it's obvious. I don't have words to express just how different that is from what from my experiences, and so I appreciate you sharing that with us, because I'm sure it's really hard, but there's a lot of people who don't know about it, and I hope that more people do. Yeah. So what happened after after you're in the bush? How long were you there?
We were there for about 1 week in the bush.
Yeah.
So after a week is when he came back. My father came back and said they are gone now. They are not here. Okay. So we need to go back to the village to see.
Oh, so you went back?
Yeah. So we went back to the village, and there was nothing. There was no food. All the small tukuls we used to live in were burned down. He had to call. He's a chief actually in the village, so he had to call a meeting and say what can we do next. So
hundreds of people gathered there. They said all of our stuff is gone.
Yeah. How can we live here?
Yeah.
We were told like the thing, like UN is preparing like an emergency food delivery for the displaced people. So after 2 days, I think we were reached by the UN that you need to assemble here in certain location to be registered for you to receive some food ratio. Yeah. And yes, we did. We had to move to that location. So we started receiving that. We got some blankets now for first time because we're getting.
Was your first ever blanket?
Yeah, I had a blanket.
Okay.
And then we stayed there for.
Did you feel a sense of relief?
Yeah, as
and I know
children.
That you're not back home.
Yeah,
but
we were not back home now.
You're not being attacked.
Yeah, we're still missing the food that we were used to, like milk and food and something like that. So we're still getting the food ratio from the UN, but that we're not used to that food, things like biscuits and beans, and but we were, at least we said, okay, we are safe for now. We are still safe, so the enemy is not pursuing us, but at least we have food, so we'll see what we'll do the rest of our lives.
So what happened? Where do you go for the next several years after that? Yeah,
so just like after 2 months, they went and regroup again. And then they took over my hometown, and then they settled there again.
But this time they settled.
So they completely expelled us from the area. So we had to cross the Nile, because my hometown is on the Nile. So we crossed now, then we walked for months. We came to another estate. I think we use estate also in my country. So we walked for about a month. We just said, okay, they have attacked us again, and we don't think they will leave us alone. So we left. Gotcha. We left that place, and then we came, and even on our way, they keep ambushing us. Yeah, they perceive us like to be the rebel fighters, because mainly
you're just running away.
Yeah, we're just running away, and they still perceive like
that you're the enemy.
We are the enemy, so they keep ambushing us.
What happens in an ambush?
Well, they try to interrogate them, and when they say we are not rebels, we are just trying to flee. Sometimes they will let us go. Sometimes they would arrest them for a day. Sometimes they release them. So a lot of harassment until we came to the rebel control areas, where they received us and they welcomed us. So we felt relief that time. And then we came to another. Call it IDP's camp, so it's like internally displaced people's camp. So we worked for months to get into that displaced camp again, and we stayed there for about 4 months before we were attacked again. Because they believe like when civilians settle somewhere and they are given food, that food would be shared by the civilian and the rebels. So they didn't want really to have that food, coming to us, so that we feed the rebels. So they just...
I don't want to cut you off, but if you could just explain why were they attacking you? Why were they coming down there to...
Yeah, they perceive us, like I said, the war was between the North, which the Muslim and has Christian there. So they think we are the fathers of the rebel fighters. So they just want to make sure that we don't associate ourselves with the civilian, or we don't sit together with the rebels. And that will give, of course, like if we stay together with the rebel, like I said, we will get enough food, and rebel will be fed from our food, and they will go and fight them. So they just wanted to clear the area to be empty completely, so that they push rebels far away from the main town, from regrouping to attack them. So that was, I think they were just using hunger and all that as a weapon to make sure we don't recruit again. Maybe we don't get healthy and later get recruited by the rebels.
Okay, I understand. And so if you continue with your story.
Yeah, so we left, and then we settled in that new camp again. That is very far, I don't know, like 150 kilometers away from our village now. We moved for months. It continued getting worse. And then Sudan was sanctioned, I think, by the UN and the US in 1997. So they became desperate now, just like attacking us. So, and they really get bad. So they were getting strong and strong. They took over major towns that were under rebel control. So they pushed us out, and they blocked UN roads where we were getting food supplies. They went there, and then they blocked them. So we almost stuck in the middle here. So we found our way out also. We said we better cross to the neighboring countries. Now we cannot survive here, seeing the road are blocked. So my dad was very smart. So he said we just need to move out of here. So we moved, and then we crossed to Uganda. Took us about 4 to 3 years now to come to Uganda. And
just walking?
Just walking.
For 3 or 4 years?
Yeah, we just walk. We walk and then go and settle.
Sorry to cut you off, but what were you like eating? How were you surviving?
There are like some host communities that are, some were pro-government. They were also aligning themselves with the government that was targeting us. So they were staying there, but they were so sympathetic with us. So when we come, they let my mother and father maybe walk in the farms, and then they give them some food later to feed us. And when we reach to the areas of settlement, we sit there, and then UN would come for about 2 to 3 months, and then the same enemy will come and disrupt the logistics to make sure we are not supplied. So when the logistics is stopped, is when we start moving again, try to find where UN can access us. So we will move from this point and settle for a few months before the roads are blocked. If they are blocked, then we move again, try to create a small space where UN can access us and listen to our voices. So it was not just like a single journey trip. So we would just go and settle for 6 months, 3 months, 4 months, a year sometimes in some places, until all the roads were blocked now. So we just decided to enter Uganda, to be refugees in Uganda. So I spent some time in Uganda as a refugee, and that is where I started going to school. Yeah.
How old were you when you got to Uganda?
In Uganda, I think I was like 14 now. Yeah.
And you're happy to be there?
Yeah, I was safe. I was relieved now. There was no any bombardment again, but only I think I was traumatized. Like at night, would scream like we are being attacked. Yeah, nightmares. So I would scream and try to run, but later on I wake up and find out that it's just a nightmare.
Do you still have that, or was that mostly when you were younger?
When I was younger. So I think my nightmares now keep changing. That was for my life. Now, when we became a country again, another war, the war hasn't stopped. We got our country of our own, but now we fought again over our own country. So we became enemies of our own.
Mm-hmm.
So the nightmare now is not about that enemy that wanted to terminate us, but is now among ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about your schooling at 14 all the way, and then how you got to your own country.
Like I said, we left in 1991. We left my village in 1991.
Mm-hmm.
1995 is when we reached Uganda.
Yeah.
So I stayed there. We stayed there. We were happy. We were getting school. We were getting support, having clothes on
Mm-hmm.
and shoes for first time. So we were happy in school. But the same Umar al-Bashir, the former president of the Sudan, came again and did some counterinsurgents within Uganda.
Mm-hmm.
He came and connived with a famous warlord named Joseph Kony.
Mm-hmm.
He's a very terrible guy.
Yeah.
So he aligned himself with him. He trained him, equipped him, and this rebel leader expelled all refugees from Uganda again. So we were displaced again from Uganda. And Uganda is just a small country where you find a house after a house. There's no bush, like a forest, like where you can hide. So we were terrified there by Joseph Kony. They killed so many refugees in the camp. So we say now, which place is safe for us?
Mm-hmm.
We ran from our country to be safe in Uganda. Now Ugandan rebels have turned against us. But we later find out that it was the same enemy that kicked us out of our village. Was conniving with the rebels to make sure we don't stay there.
Why did they care? Why do they care that you're in a different country?
Yeah.
Why do they care about getting you at that?
So the rebel leader in Uganda was fighting the Ugandan government.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the rebel leader who was fighting the Sudan government was a friend to the president of Uganda.
I gotcha.
So it was just like a vice versa. So my president then became an ally with the rebel leader in Uganda.
Okay.
So he fund him and give him weapons to make sure he disturb us, the refugees, and cut the logistics along the border areas. And that was just like a proxy war.
So were you able to, so that second time, were you able to flee?
Yes,
Uganda?
so my father had to come again and say, now we are not being protected by the Ugandan government because the rebels there were getting strong. They were killing Ugandan government's troops. So they were scared. They were not protecting us. UN did not even decided where to relocate us, and they were coming. So my father said we need to go back to Sudan.
Can I ask you, during all this time where you're displaced from your home village and then you become a refugee and then you're displaced from being in Uganda, did you have any thoughts about God during that time? Were you like, I'm just curious, like, did you feel like angry, or did you feel just like begging kind of for mercy? Like, what was, I've never been in this situation. I don't know how I would think about it. But
yeah, then you are right. Yeah, in 1993 is when I became Christian.
Okay.
It's when I really get to know about God. Like I said, we used to go to school now. We're getting some education, and I get to know about God. So in 1993, I became Christian, and this is where I started asking this heavy question: Why do they want to kill us? We have done nothing wrong. Because I was not exposed politically, like to know all these differences. So I was just wondering, why would someone run after us? Is there any making, maybe something natural that God is punishing us, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
So I tried to figure that out, and until I became Christian, I actually fall sick. I almost died because there was like no medical care and nothing at all. So I had running stomach, like a diarrhea, and it lasted for 1 week. It almost killed me. So one evening I started talking to myself on my bed, on my sick bed. I don't know. So I remember opening my eyes a bit, and I saw my mom was crying because I was talking to myself. Until I heard something saying, "Jacob, you need to go to church. You need to go to church." And I continued conversing with that person that I was not seeing, and my mom thought my sickness is getting worse. So every time I talk, to that person as if I'm talking to someone live, my mother would cry, just like maybe that is my last moment. And I felt like someone was just standing next to my bed and was telling me, Jacob, you need to go to church now. So the following, just after another day, is when my dad came and just hold my hand. So I told him what that person is telling me. I said, I don't know, the person is standing next to my bed, but he keeps telling me I should go to church. So my dad said, okay, let's go. So he took me to a certain pastor called Peter. So he took me to Peter and he narrated what I was telling him. So the pastor was excited about it. He said, I think God is calling him. So and I was the first person who was baptized in my family, just because of that call. So I told my dad, and my dad took me to the pastor, and the pastor thought that was a call. And yes, I stayed there in the church for a few days, and it started getting well. There was no good treatment, but yes, some agencies were there, like MSF, so they were giving us inadequate medication, but yeah, I think they were helping. So yeah, and after I left, they treated me for a week, but I did not improve. So until I was moved to the church, and I became better. So that one changed my life for good. That there is God, and I started learning the Bible and became Christian. Yes. So, but yeah, later on I keep praying and say, why is this happening to us? What have we done to the people in this world? Why are we subjected to this hardship? Yes, but yeah, until I grow up, I later get to know God works in so many ways. So become who I am again, wearing a clothes today. I can imagine if we were still in the village, I would still be the same person, or might have not even gone to school. But yeah, all these things came through that bad history I'm telling you.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Where you live now, is that where you've been living ever since you relocated the second time?
Yeah, we relocated, like I said, when we moved from Uganda, we went back to Sudan. My father said, you know, our bushes, our forest is big enough to accommodate us or even to hide from the enemy, so let's go back. So we moved, actually, we went back. So we stay there now in school in Sudan.
Was it the same group of people?
No, different people. We keep living,
okay. You keep
meeting
different
people. Yeah.
I see.
Some people didn't want to move that far where we were moving, so they remained behind with the host communities where we were. And some actually came with us, like about 5 families. We crossed Uganda together, and when we were leaving Uganda again, some families remained in Uganda, but we decided to go back to Sudan. And we grew up there until 2005. It's when the Sudan government and the rebel groups in current South Sudan signed a peace agreement. They signed a peace agreement, and in that peace agreement they said there will be that Southerners, where I belong, will be given a chance to decide their future, either to remain as one country called Sudan, or if they want to remain, or if they need their own country. And we were given that opportunity, and we voted in 2011.
Were you?
Yeah, we're excited. I have photos now. I was there. I voted. I said I want to vote. So I voted, and then on July 9th, 2011, we declared our independence as independence country. And I was there the whole night dancing, reflecting on all this hardship, thinking, we have achieved what we wanted. But yeah, unfortunately, in 2013, just barely after three years, we slip back to war among ourselves. So
how'd that happen?
After we became independent, the leader of the movement now became the president of South Sudan, of my country. And we were to go for elections in 2015 to decide our legitimate president. So the vice president, we're now working together with the president. But over some disagreement, they split the army into 2, and they started fighting. So the relationship didn't work well. So in the process of writing a new constitution for our country, they disagreed over so many political issues. And yes, that was the beginning of the war in 2013.
At that point you must be so...
I did not sleep for nearly 3 days trying to figure out why is that happening. Why we got what we wanted.
Yeah.
Why again? Why fight on things that they could address as leaders?
Yeah.
Why would they do that? But yeah, after we get independent, they did not actually sit down and reconcile and forgive each other and be honest to each other, and maybe find a way they can take the people forward. So they just say, okay, you are the president, I'm the vice president, so you must listen to me. The other one said, I'm not going to listen to your policies, my policies are better. And then in 2015, like I said, in 2015, we were supposed to go for elections, and they could not even agree or even reconcile. So they keep threatening each other until on the 15th of December 2013, the fighting broke out among their bodyguards, and it involved the entire country, because our country is just set up on tribal line.
Yeah.
So this man went to his tribe and mobilized his men, and the president was still in charge of the country, had the resources, so they fought, and no one win actually.
Yeah.
Till 2016, they signed peace agreement. America came in, but yes, the president was skeptical with a few articles in the agreement, especially having the new rebel leader come to Juba with his troops and his weapons and machineries. Until last year in September, America and the neighboring countries also came in, and they have them sit face to face to sign peace agreement again. So they signed peace. So in November, maybe when I go back, I think is when I will find the new government in place. Yeah, they signed peace agreement, but with different mechanism. So the rebel leader will not come now with his troops and his bodyguards to the city, but they will train some neutral troops to protect all of them.
Gotcha.
So and then in November 2nd, they will have a government of national unity where everyone will be accommodated, but after 3 years, we'll go for elections to decide either one of them or new candidates will express their readiness to lead the country. Then people will decide now, will vote for whoever they think they trust. So that is where we stand in now. So that's why I said earlier that I was born, in that crisis, and it's continuing, and I keep wondering, when will I rest? When will I sit and really relax and say, no more guns, no threats, and not threats every time. So yeah, that is briefly my history. We are still going on with the same crisis that we thought would be solved by the independence of the South Sudan.
All right, so Jacob, would you mind telling me about the work that you're doing in Sudan today? Like, what do you do on the ground there? What's your hope? What are you hoping to accomplish?
Yeah, like when I signed up for DonorSee, I was impressed given the nature of the history that I have just explained here. Everyone is devastated, everyone is poor, everyone is lacking almost everything. No houses, no running water, no electricity. We use generators. So people are desperate there. And ever then I keep thinking like, how can I help? I know I'm helping myself. I have my small job for myself and my family, but my small salary cannot not accommodate everyone. So I used to wonder like, how can I help better? Until when in 2016, when DonorSee came, is when I said this is an opportunity to help these poor people. And now the level of devastation and war, everyone is completely starting from clothes and even shoes and food. Those basic things are nowhere to be seen. The government is also broke as it is fighting the war. Healthcare is completely down. So you find everyone is desperate. Either they need food. When you bring food, sickness will come in tomorrow. It's just like they solve the sickness. They have no clothes to wear.
Yeah.
Just desperate in all fronts. So when I get connected with DonorSee, I said this is how I'm going to help these people next to me in my neighborhood. Not everyone, but the people I see every day. And now I have, like I said, I have small work that I do to feed my family. So I said I will dedicate some time in a week to help people around me.
Yeah.
And that's what I do now. I was lucky to have my phone. I have smartphone now, so I can easily run around and find. You can find someone anywhere, anytime, in just few meters, either left or right. You can find desperate people, and that is what I do. And I'm happy to continue helping them through DonorSee. And I hope those whom I have helped already are really better. Are better off, I would say, if I compare them with those who have never had any help from the donors that I usually get from DonorSee. They are now better, especially those whom have set up small businesses for them. One of them is like KG.
Why don't you talk about one of the small businesses that was set up?
Yeah, like KG has like 5 children, and he used to sell like candy in a small tin. You could actually count the pieces of candy those days before I helped her. So I stopped there and I said, "What is this, KG?" And she said, "This is how I provide food for my children." And I said, "How many are they?" Then she took me to her house and I requested permission to see. So I went around. It's a horrible situation. They sleep on floor, no mosquito nets, no nothing. And she was working hard to make sure she sell those candies and maybe get small maize flour to cook later for her children. So it's when I said, okay, I think I can help someone who is helping herself like her. She's trying, but only that there's no enough money. So let me raise $110 and maybe inject into her business. And yes, I raised that. That was funded, and thanks to the donors for helping that. And then we went. I said, here's your money. She could not believe, like, who are you? And I explained, and she was like, no way, this is not my money. And I said, this is yours. It's the same money that I talked to you about. So the money is here. And you have seen now, after 8 months, now it's 10 months now, from the day I uploaded the follow-up video and a clip of her new kiosk with varieties. It has onions and oranges and candies and biscuits and soap selling now. So I visited her kids and they are doing better. She was able to buy some mats, so now they sleep on mat in their new house. And so I would like to see life getting changed like that. The husband had actually run away and left her. Now when I went, she told me that is my husband. So the husband is actually like coming back because he was unable to do all that. So I think he decided to run away. And when I first went, she did not know where the husband was. And I think the husband has learned that KG is doing well financially. She's not going to be a burden. So he's coming back slowly. So KG didn't like him to come back. She told me she didn't want. They almost fight one night, like, stay away from me. You left me behind with the kids, and after God has helped me, and now you want to come back. But I visited her before I left, and she said, the husband is really begging her to allow him to come back. So the donation that went to KG has improved her life, and the life of her children. And now he's trying to stitch the broken relationship that was broken down between her and the husband. And that is what keeps me smiling sometimes when generous donors bring in money. They don't just answer one problem, but there's like a chain of problems that they solve in one household. So solving KG's poverty when she was stuck there, could not feed her children, but later on the shop started getting to grow. And then her husband started coming back, and they are now in the process of peace. And I really feel and always thankful to donors when they just lift up a family that was from nowhere to where they are now. They are able to bathe using a soap, which was something not even there before. and they are now doing okay. They have soap, they wash their clothes with soap, they shower now using soap, and that peace is coming back, and that is what I want to see. Through the hardship that I went through, I want my country to be in peace. And how do I get my country back in peace? It has to start with one person at a time, or one family at a time.
Yeah.
So if KG family is back, I will be happy to see that. They will be able to change some other people's life, and this is how I feel like DonorSee is like it's my gateway now to start growing peace in my country, planting peace in my country.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I want to ask just a couple more questions, and I really thank you for. I know you're a busy man, and this is a brief trip here to America, so I thank you for spending some time with us.
Thank you.
One of the things I want to know about is you've been in America your first time. How long have you been here?
I came here on 22nd, so my third day.
This is your third day in America.
My third day in America.
What do you think?
It's completely different from South Sudan or some other bigger cities. It's completely different. Like today, I didn't want to use metro again because continue confusing me. I got lost yesterday, and I had to Google my way out and came back to the house. And today I was talking to my host, and he said, taxi is expensive. And I said, okay, I think it will be better to pay that so that I go to where I want than getting lost underground. So America is the setting, the infrastructure, the people is completely different from my country or even the continent. I've been to many cities in Africa, but America is different. I'm trying to figure everything out. Everything is just fast. in my eyes. Buses are really flying and everything. So everything is really fast. So I'm trying to figure out all these things.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you knew some Americans, but now you're around just all Americans all the time. Are the people different than what you thought they would be?
Yeah, I think the few people. I think I met a lot of. The country that has a lot of friends is United States than any other country in the whole world. People like Gavin. He's a nice guy, and when I came, I met her parents and I met everyone. So everyone is nice. He's nice. That's what I thought, and it's just like falling in where I used to figure it out actually. So everyone is nice. Only that they don't talk a lot. So you say hello, people is like hello, and they walk away.
Oh yeah, people are.
So we are more of a community there. When you sit with someone, you chat.
Yeah, definitely.
You chat,
especially like on the street and stuff. Is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Just people are.
You try to find.
Too busy.
They're too busy. So like yesterday, I said, hey, I'm lost. I want to go back to. I have the address on my phone, and he was like, oh, go back to courthouse. And then he left, and that courthouse was not enough for me. I needed more explanation.
If only that guy knew everything you had been through and where you were. Okay, well that's I mean that's not surprising, unfortunately, but there's a lot of good and there's a lot of just different stuff.
And a lady was crying in the metro yesterday.
Oh yeah.
And I talked to a friend like, can I go and find out? Because in Africa. You can easily find out why someone is crying, but she was just crying there, and everyone was just on phone, busy. It's like they don't care. Yeah. So I was just wondering, because this is America, so maybe I will get myself into trouble if I go and say, hey, what is happening?
Yeah.
And that is how I grew up seeing those things, and that is what we do a lot in my country.
Did you talk to her, or did someone say don't?
Yeah, I think I experienced the same thing when I was in German, and I was told to stay away. Yeah. So I saw that one just click in my mind. I said maybe the same cultures are very close, so let me not go. Maybe the police will come. It's like they did in German. There was that Muslim lady crying. Yeah. And no one wanted to come. And I talked to a certain guy who was sitting next to me, and I said, "Can we do something about this?" And he shook his head. I said, "No." And I said, "Why?" Said it's not our job, and I said, okay, let me go. So I was just putting myself together, stuck between I don't speak German, So how am I going to talk to her?
Yeah.
And she may think I'm also causing her problem. So as I was figuring all this, I saw two police officers, coming with notebooks, and they were talking. Then they took some notes when they were standing in front of the lady. So yeah, when I saw that, I said, "Oh, is this the German situation happening again? So I better hold myself to be African here."
Yeah.
This is the setting.
Yeah.
So yeah, those things I just
You're just learning about, yeah.
learning about those things. Yeah, but those are the things that I'm experiencing in America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you have a good trip.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool things to see.
Yeah. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of things, and that is a good experience.
If you, let's say that you could send a message to Americans, like if all Americans were listening to you right now, what would you like to say to them?
I would say the world is one. The world is one, and there are people who are privileged in the world, as we know. Some are not. Some are struggling. Some are brought down. They want to be better, but the situation is not allowing them to be better. They are being held down. So every single time, just keep watching around, and we are human. We can support any human being in one way or the other, just to be better like them. So keep looking out. The world is one. We are also human, and we should be caring about each other.
I couldn't agree more. That's a perfect way to end this. Thank you so much for coming and spending time with us, Jacob.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
Nice to meet you.